secondly, that amongst the Republican models, the one that has just got 73 votes is clearly preferred. Now, when you bind those two together, it would be a travesty in common sense terms of Australian democracy for that proposition not to be put to the Australian people.
This was the best republic that the best brains of the Republican movement could come up with, and it could only get 45% support, and that is a credit to the healthy scepticism of the Australian people when faced with change for change's sake and a dud model republic.
That brings me to the next question, I think the fifth question. And I was present when you announced that the model would go to the referendum. The model didn't attain a majority,
no,
but it attained a plurality. And it was by far the most favoured model among the republics. It's just that the monarchists would not vote for any model, but we took that decision.
The ACM was absolutely consistent. The ACM refused to trade and barter and play funny games. The ACM was elected on a platform of supporting the status quo, and the ACM stuck to that, and I thought the ACM behaved in a very ethical manner. I'm not saying other people were unethical, but they weren't into silly games. They were supporters of the monarchy in Australia, and they made that very clear.
You might remember that Christopher Pearson and Tony Abbott, writing in the Australia, had suggested that the constitutional monarchists should bring up the least worst model, that is the McGarvie model, which was more similar, certainly not identical to the existing system. But the argument was then you could defeat it in the coming referendum. But we, as you rightly say, we decided that we would not do that we would reject.
The McGarvie model, in my view, was a cop-out. You either had a pure and simple situation whereby the Governor-General was replaced by a President chosen by the government of the day, and you take all royal references out of the Constitution. What you do with the reserved powers of the Crown will remain the subject of endless debate. Pretty hard to transfer them into a Republican iteration, but that is not an argument that I've turned my mind to. You either had a pure and simple republic, or you didn't. These attempts to have a republic when you're not having a republic, and saying, well, the change is so tiny that we're going to give the formal authority to make the change to a council of wise people who previously incidentally held judicial or government or vice-regal office. That always seemed to me to be avoiding it. You either were for or against, and I was for the status quo. A number of my senior colleagues were against it, and quite a number of them supported the McGarvie model, but with all due respect to that man whose name it bears, it didn't appeal to me. I thought it was a bit of a cop-out.